Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people, rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective, it's a collective. Get to the bottom where the truth is, where the heart's uncovered. Where you detox from all of the lies you smothered. Where them tries could have killed you, but with faith you recover. Yeah, peel off the makeup, we finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. That's Hugo's regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe. So down me we know. Sometimes we can be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's so hard to reflect on all the juice like torture. It's on you, tell the truth.
Yeah, we about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. Listen. Yeah, aim in the fit so you see in the mirror. Play with your focus and watch it get clear. Polish your crown, turn it up if you wear it. You live in the root, release what you're fearing. And watch it all rise, the righteous will hear it. They calling us twisted, I'm not even caring. Because it's unseen, the mind is too barren. They won't even heal it, they pass it to cheering. We over here healing, conversing and listening. Know that the truth isn't always appealing, but end it with healing and find your beginning. Frequency positive, what you receiving. Perception is up to you, what you believing. What you retrieving, mentally speaking. Like that they breathing, no words from a heathen. Don't know it all, but together undefeated. Conversation, rather want it, you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the trial with the students and teachers. All got a voice, we the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Conversation, rather want it, you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the trial with the students and teachers. All got a voice, we the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Hey. Yeah.
We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. We about to have a good conversation. Yeah, let's go. Praying for truth cause the world is so fickle. Keeping my mental how clean as a whistle. Attention's a trap that can lead you astray. Steering this ship through the storm and the haze. Real conversations are lost in the greed. Others get lost in the web that it weaves. Sift through the rhetoric, uncover schemes. Knowledge inherited, this is imperative. I got a lot on my mind and I'm sharing it. Apples to oranges, it ain't no comparisons. I'm the type that'll never break character. I'm the type to make memories and cherish them. Trust intuition and doubt or disparity. Pursuing the echoes of wisdom. Chasing that moment of clarity. Conversation rather one and you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the track, we the students and teachers. All got a voice, who the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen. Conversation rather one and you need it. Come fill up your tank before it's depleted. Don't care if you calling on Allah, Jesus, Buddha or Christian, not being facetious. Come to the track with the students and teachers. All got a voice, who the ears that'll listen. Who the ears that'll listen. We the ears that'll listen.
It's on you, tell the truth.
Peace, peace. Welcome to the People's Podcast with the ears that will listen and where your opinion matters. Today, we are discussing a heartbreaking event that happened in Chicago, where a young woman lost her life in a shooting that shook a family, a community. Yet before anything else, we pause and we recognize this was a person. This was a life. This was someone's loved one, Gabrielle Ayers. And what this moment makes us ask is deeper than the headline. What actually happened right before tragedy? Because many times violence is not planned, it is a reaction. A decision made in seconds that creates consequences for a lifetime. I'm going to pass the mic to Moon Tortoise for the deeper meaning.
Good evening, y'all. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. We often talk about violence as if it begins with a weapon, yet most of the time it begins with emotion, anger, jealousy, embarrassment, disrespect, pain that has nowhere to go. When people live under constant pressure and stress, the brain shifts into survival mode. In survival mode, a person is not thinking about tomorrow, they are reacting to the right now. And when emotion overrides logic, one moment can change many lives permanently. That's why an emotional control is not weakness, it is protection. Not just for others, for your own future. The real conversation is not only about Chicago, it's about how we as human beings handle pain. Let's have a good conversation.
So, speaking of mental health, how hard is mental health for a lot of people right now, Moon Tortoise?
Uh, I guess that's subjective, but in my opinion, really rough. I think the world's shifting in a kind of a violent way. And I'll be honest, it's affecting me. And I'll put it out there too. If it's not affecting you, I'm very happy. But I feel like it should be because it's kind of like unacceptable to me. Um, it's been really hard. It's also been a very long day, so I might be quiet through most of this podcast and just listen. The content's very heavy, and though I feel very strongly about it, I don't know if my spirit can move me in the right way. Sometimes I just gotta listen.
Okay, okay. How about you, SGF Graham? Welcome.
Peace, peace. How y'all doing?
All is truly well, and you?
No complaints at all.
So, how has mental been affecting you and your like surroundings and environment at this present moment?
Uh, Speaking personally for me, I'm pretty dope right now. Whatever. I don't worry about things that I can't control with, aka the rest of the world. Um, and once I started doing that, all that confusion and stuff started going away or whatever. So I just I had to let go of what is not of me. Everything else is just and accept everything else for what it is versus what I want it to be. And mm, it's been pretty cool for right now.
Okay. How about you over there in Canada, Kendo? Um, Before we get into the subject, I'd like you to tell us a little bit of briefly about what has been going on in Canada in your neck of the woods.
Oh my goodness. There's a lot of hardships and situations that are taking place, more violence, more aggressiveness. You could tell in their spirit that something's not right for how people are reacting towards you. And I just witnessed a person at the mall today getting tackled and getting accused of such ordeals for stealing and such, and I almost got tackled myself and I had to go the other way. So, and then yesterday, our community is dealing with more hardships with the murder sprees that's going on. So it's hard to keep up, and I'm trying my best to keep safe and away from situations right now.
Yeah. So, North Side, welcome, welcome. He says, I've definitely acted out of emotions. You want to talk about that? So, have you ever acted out of emotions, Kendall, and regretted
Most
it after?
definitely. Oh yes, quite often. Sometimes I tend to say something that I don't mean until after the fact I realized that I couldn't. I should have said that. So when I didn't consider other people's emotions or how they're feeling at the time versus how I was feeling, they didn't see my point of view for how I was trying to come across. And it's always afterwards I notice maybe I should have said that. So yeah, it's something else.
How about you, SGF Graham? Have you ever acted out of emotions?
Of course, of course. Probably not a human in the world that hasn't. But I mean, I don't know where to take it further than that. But yeah, definitely. have acted out emotions probably as early as maybe a couple of days ago.
Okay.
Where it happens.
So, about the story of the lady that's no longer here with us. There's so many speculations. There's so many things, and they're trying to cover it up, but they're trying not to really. They're just saying that they don't have no direct evidence. Now, I did see some things about it beforehand. I did see that she was trolling a lot, and I did see that she was posting about someone that had passed away, and she was saying some things. I saw one of the posts that she made about dragging someone's body behind out of the in the casket, a picture of them in the casket or something behind the car. I can't go word for word because I don't really live in those moments when I see them. I just read it and went on. My algorithm doesn't show me a whole bunch of negative energy, so I do remember seeing something like that. Trolling. A lot of people do a lot of trolling for clickbait, for views, for everything, and they think it's cool, it's funny. We can do that because no one's going to mess with you because of who you are or who you're related to. Do you want to touch base on anything that you've seen on the story, SGF Graham?
Mm, nah, because it's not my story, and I'm not from Chicago.
Okay.
Well, and honestly, you stepping on toes when I'm pretty sure I can almost bet that nobody from that Chicago culture is going to run across this podcast. But to me or whatever, it's always a little saucy talking about something, even if all the proof is there, it's still saucy because that person was somebody's loved one.
Yeah.
And I kind of wouldn't want somebody on the other side of America talking about something they've only read about, even if it's just 100% true or whatever. Like I, me talking about it doesn't condone what happened, and I don't want it to seem like I'm condoning what she did or what they did or
Right.
whatever. So my words could get misconstrued because just because I say that there was a cause and effect behind that. When I was thinking about it before the show came on, I was like, somebody could take my words as almost like I'm saying she deserved that or anything, and that would be totally false. So I wouldn't know how to really converse
Okay.
about that.
No,
But
and I
speaking on Chicago culture though, or whatever, like that's been a thing for years. Like if you troll somebody, well, because the Chicago hood area is so small that if you troll somebody, it is you really just turned your time clock on. So, I don't even want to. I wish that people would stop putting attention on Chicago culture because it's the only reason that it's blowing up.
yeah, I want to read this comment from North Side. I was a product of trauma. I never learned how to deal with emotions. I let fear-based anger dictate my behavior for years. I would meditate with drugs and alcohol, which of course made things much worse. I ended up harming a man and went to prison. It's taken years of therapy and learning emotional regulation to heal. Thank you for sharing that with us. And it's so true. It's true because when you act out of that temporary state of mind, and I don't want to lessen anything that happened neither, but people have reactions off of feelings, and anger is just a temporary feeling. And when you give it a permanent place, you now have made it into something that it wasn't supposed to be. Feelings come and go. They're not supposed to be actions. They're not supposed to be something that makes a difference in this world when it comes to writing history. And violence is no answer, no matter who you are, no matter what you're dealing with or growing through. There's more ways of being able to handle your temporary reaction without an action. So having that ability to be mindful of knowing the difference and having that, thank you for being vulnerable enough to speak with us on that. And I appreciate that, because a lot of people won't even speak on that. So that right there shows that you're healing. So, and for me, have I ever acted out of emotions and I regretted it later? No, I haven't. And that's one thing I took pride in. No, I haven't. And unless it was to myself, with indulging in things to suppress my emotions, like drinking and whatnot. No. So here's one, Kendall. What warning signs do you notice before you lose control?
When it comes to avoiding control or control.
It just says losing control.
Oh, okay. There's many different signs and symptoms that you can even notice until someone explodes until after the fact. So I would think it's to do with avoidance, conflicts, the arguments, quick to react to something that's not quick, very harsh gestures, and also abuse, verbal abuse, manipulation, a whole collaboration of anger or aggressions that can be shown towards before you lose your SHIT on the person. So my question is, why would they get to that point, to the point there's no subconscious of doing so?
So there are warning signs that you notice before someone does it, before they lose control?
It's not always the case. Sometimes it could just happen right on the spot if you don't see the red flags or the signs, and they just hold the emotions so tightly, they explode.
Yeah. How about you, SGF Graham? What warning signs do you notice before you lose control?
I get quiet. I try to give that person space to shut up. Well, you know, I even act like I will even become submissive to try to, like, hey, you got it, you right. I was wrong the whole time, my bad. Well, you know, that's all my friends will tell you. That's my warning. I'm done. I'm done with this conversation. It is what it is after this. If we say anything else, you know, I would give the whole conversation. I'll walk off and everything. That's my warning. Leave me alone. I'm done with it.
And I didn't really want to make this whole thing about the young lady that is no longer here, because one, I don't like speaking ill on, or it don't even have to be ill. I don't like speaking on some people that are never here, that are no longer here because of the family members and what they were to somebody. I just really want to focus on the emotion that comes with making a temporary decision become a permanent reaction. You can't undo certain things. You're going to live with regrets. You can't undo a life once you take it. You can't undo a poor decision. I don't care how justifiable it is within your mental at that present moment. You can't undo a reaction that has permanent consequences. There's no way of erasing time or actions. So I've seen a lot of people that have lost control. I've been a victim of DV, and I've had it happen to me. So, like, the warning signs that I have seen before they did it was they did try the avoidance. I'm a talker, so I want to talk to people. I want people to talk things out, and people sometimes want to just get away because they don't know how to handle that emotion at the time. And that's where the conflict may come about, giving them that space to cool down. That may be where I lack the ability to. And for some people, they have to have that moment where they walk away and think about it before they react. They have to have that cool down phase. Another thing that I've seen, a warning sign before someone lost control, would be the words they use. If the words they use are disrespectful to you or themselves, that means that they have no care about feelings and love and respect at that time. They're not in the right place at all. If their actions are disrespectful with their words, it's going to only get worse from there if you continue feeding that energy that they are putting out, meeting them there. So,
I mean, I would like to add. I hate to add it because I hate to feel like people are emotionally or mentally, excuse my opinion of my word, I use weak. I don't want to call nobody weak or whatever, but that's just how I take it or whatever. The internet and social media is constructed to keep that type of feeling up. And what I mean by that, like, of course, let's say a black crime happened, all over that post, all over that news cap is people that don't look like that, saying don't look like the criminal or the victim, saying stuff like, oh, usual suspects, oh, there go in again, oh, there go this, there go that. And I personally go around on reporting all those racial comments and stuff. And to this day, I have not had one report that went through successfully. They always tell me they didn't find nothing. So I go back and be like, all right, well, even though I'm not racist, let me add it up. Let me equal the energy and see if they feel as disrespected as I feel disrespected. And I won't even say like an official racial word. I'll just say something back. And then next thing you know, I'm getting a message from Facebook that my messages got deleted, and if I make another message like that, I got a 6-week suspension. And I said nothing near the extraneous or the extreme that the other person said or whatever. So by that fault, anything that's racial against black people remains online, and anything that is said back to other people is immediately taken down, and the person is reprimanded. That's why you see, black people, whenever they say something about white people, they'll spell it YT instead of WHITE, where they won't spell it out. There we got to figure out a cool way to say it so it don't get blocked or whatever. But when it comes to racism towards us or whatever, it's completely zero filter to it. So therefore, we get on there and we be as ratchet as we can to each other because we know it's not going to get blocked. We can talk about each other family and post dead pictures and do all that or whatever, and it won't get blocked as long as we keep it in our community. And so we can just go. And then on top of that, you got somebody, like I said, you got somebody in a whole nother state that's saying, oh, your sister deserved it, your brother deserved it. That's what they get. That's what the da 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 da. People that don't even know nobody dealing with it. And you got to see all the stuff. Well, that stuff triggers people.
do you think maybe it is a diversion of keeping people divided?
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. That's just like I don't want to. I'm not gonna say it because I don't know what Facebook gonna do. But that's just like right now. TikTok has announced that if you say anything remotely dealing with the Z word, if you don't figure it out, I'm not gonna say the whole word, but dealing with the Z word or whatever, if you say anything remotely to it, you will be banned. or whatever, TikTok came out today and said they have hired two J-ish companies to literally go around on TikTok and look for that so they can
Yeah,
ban them.
that's crazy.
But nobody's banning nothing, but nobody's banning the black hate crime or none of that. They're gonna let that be seen, but everything else, let's get rid of it.
So they want to, now this is just my opinion. I can't state for a fact, but this is what I've witnessed in my time being here. And I've been here for 51 years. I've seen some things. They want to keep race on race crime of us taking each other out, our own race, taking each other out, so that they don't have to worry about it. They can't win in numbers because they don't have the numbers. As a collective whole, if all the hatred went and all the racism and all this stuff disappeared and we came together as a collective whole, there wouldn't be a controlled society. Yet there's so much that they could do with our mental that will keep us suppressed, no matter who we are. No matter who we are. By threats, by slurs, by angles, by whatever. Because right now, it's a crucial time that a lot of people are going through mental things. There's a shift in its energy from frequency, and a lot of people are going from matter to energy, and they're shifting. And they're trying to cause more diversion so they can get away with what they got to get away with, whoever they are, so that the people can suffer. Because if we come together and unite, then they know they have no power and control. It's going to have to be another subject for another day, though, because I want to keep it based on the fact of what we're talking about, controlled emotions. But I see where you're coming from, and I agree completely. They're doing it to anybody who's different, and it's. I talked about it today with somebody about how certain things is a mental health condition, and there's a lot of things that are mental health conditions that I can't talk about right now, and that society is giving it justifiable for violence. And nothing should be justifiable for violence. Nothing. Not a temporary feeling should be justifiable for violence. None. I believe that from everything all the way to war. I think it's all a temporary feeling. If it comes from greed, power, anything, them are all feelings. They're all feelings. And some people are doing things because of a temporary feeling called permanent change to this world. And it's messing with our human structure as who we are. Instead of thinking we're all united, they want to keep us divided any way they can.
I can't say that that's a now thing though, because as far as you can go back into history, that's always been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where, it's just now we got the internet, so now we can see all of the oppression and the crazy stuff going on around the world versus just in your community and you thinking it's just you. It's all over. Well, man, as far as you can go back into history, it's always been divide and conquer. So
the only thing that I think is a now thing is the frequency changing to energy instead of matter. That's the only thing I think is a now, is the shift of that. Everything else has always been this way. We just, like you said, now are privileged to be able to see it more because of the internet. So were you ever taught how to manage anger growing up, Kendall?
I would say yes and no. I had to learn my own emotions on my own terms. I was always taught to learn to take a deep breath before you say anything and count to 10. or walk away when you need to walk away, but it's still a hard term to learn on those spaces for what those emotions are. And I still have a hard time configuring them because I don't know how to express myself better that way when it comes to proper terms or wordings, because it could turn out the wrong way of phrases to offend someone else. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't mean to say it like that, but it just happens to be that type of phrase versus how can I manage that expression better? And anything I say and do lately, it seems to be lashing out more aggressively as well. Not just me, but with other people. So I feel like if I say anything, I'm going to get ranted on. So um, these days, I'm just keeping to myself and just try to deal and do the best I can.
SGF Graham, were you ever taught how to manage anger growing up?
Yeah, I was taught several different tactics, from simple things to walking off, like Kendall said, to it might be controversial to a lot of people or whatever, but some things you can't walk away from or whatever, the situation won't allow you to walk away from it. So, you know, make a prime example out of that person so you won't have to deal with that situation again or whatever, like that was the way I was taught or whatever. I was taught to walk away and to do all that stuff or whatever, or even not even be around that situation anyway. Like, what's gonna happen when you're around that person. So why do you keep putting yourself in that situation? Whatever, but if you can't get out of it, then make an example out of that person, and you're not making an example so that person won't bother you anymore. You're doing it for everybody else that think that, oh, you're going to be an easy target. No, I'm not going to be an easy target. Do you want to go through what he went through because he wouldn't leave me alone? And honestly, that worked. That was, I hate to say it or whatever, all that walking off, people thought that was weak because everybody parents is telling them that. Somebody getting on you, ignore them. So when we would get on other kids and they would just ignore us, we'd be like, he doing what his mama told him. He really mad. Like, we would reverse it because all of our parents was telling us the same thing. So we knew why you was ignoring us. We knew why you was being quiet. We getting on you. We getting to you or whatever. So it came to a point to where, I hate to say it or whatever, you had to show, hey, do you want to go through what I just put him through because he wouldn't leave me alone? And that
Yeah.
usually stopped a lot of stuff. I hate that violence did, but it did.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that's what I was going to say. I wasn't really taught how to manage anger growing up. I was really shown what happened when you voiced whatever happened, when you voiced your opinion. I was shown violently. So it wasn't really taught how to manage it. I was taught not to speak when somebody else was angry. I was taught through the violence, if that makes sense. And me being younger and having a child at a young age, at 17, I had to start acting differently so that I could show him a different way of growing. And they say that your children are mirrors of how you were, except for worse. And I don't know if it was a curse my parents put upon me or what, but it's true. My son had more anger than I ever had at such a young age. And it wasn't because he saw it growing up, just because he didn't know how to express it properly. And that's one thing I wish that I would have been able to do, was teach him how to express it properly. I had him in wrestling, but ever since like he was in 3rd grade, I had him in wrestling. And that was his only way of outlet of the anger. And then once he quit, he suppressed it all. Once he quit wrestling, he suppressed all his anger and became different, where he didn't know how to express it as he got older. So, like SGF Graham said, my way was through the violence. I was actually shown not to speak when other people were angry. So I never had that. What resources, Kendall, exist in communities before someone reaches a breaking point? Do you have resources? Because you were saying there's some I don't know a proper way of saying it without getting flagged, and that's really terrible that we have to be careful of talking about things that are happening because we will get flagged. But there's been a lot of mass stuff going on in your area in the last couple of days. What are the resources for people before they end up doing that?
Oh my goodness. There's a lot of resources, but a lot of people refuse to go to them. And the offer that is there, they just don't want to be a part of it, or it's too much to go to, or there's not enough fundings, there's not enough whatever. We also got all these different type of programs that are able to help you to walk through the step-by-step basis if you need that kind of help. So the fact they're not choosing or they're not wanting to is a whole other ordeal for what people are doing these days. So when it comes to like native programs, mass programs, or KMH, whatever it may be, there's like the non-profitable ones as well to get that type of help that you need. But a lot of people refuse to get the help, the fact they know, or they just don't want it, or the fact they can. So it's really hard to talk about the fact that there's so much out there that people don't use. So find the resources that's close to you to do so.
SGF Graham, do you feel that the same way? Because we're all in different parts of the United States. None of us are in the same area. Do you feel it's that way over there? What are you in North Carolina?
Yeah, but I would like to think that if they're going to do something that's a mass anything negative, a mass negative anything, that they're probably past getting help or whatever, and everybody missed that they needed help when they were kids. Everybody missed that they needed help when they was young or whatever, like I used to tell everybody or whatever, like, thank goodness that I am a strong-minded person, because I got tired of hearing, you're strong, you'll figure it out. You're strong, you'll figure it out. And I would always tell people, now, if I figure it out the way that I want to, I'm going to be the one in the wrong. But I was always strong, mentally minded to whatever I wanted to negatively do or whatever. I was able to not talk down myself, be like, yeah, why are you thinking that for? Whatever, like, that's crazy or whatever, other people might not, that other people might come across that thought and be like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do, since nobody didn't listen. Well, so, a lot of times people miss it. People miss that kid needed therapy as a child, when they would just tell, just go outside, just go play your video game, just go do this. All right, I ain't got nobody to talk to. Didn't nobody talk this out with me. It was just me and my thoughts. That's why a lot of times when a mass something happens, when they go to the person's living situation, they find a notebook. Because this person has just been talking to themselves, trying to weigh out the options. They find a notebook with everything in it. Whatever, like, that person needed somebody to talk to, and more than likely people was ignoring them. And then okay, now the resources out there as an adult. When I really needed this, the resources wasn't there, or my family felt embarrassed that they needed to reach me out into this resource. And now you want me to do it as an adult, when I've accepted my conflicted thoughts, or whatever I've accepted is just me, and it ain't no changing. So resources can be out there or whatever, but sometimes, a lot of times, it's too late for them resources.
What I've noticed too is a lot of people get made fun of and condemned over their emotions, because being vulnerable is a sign of weakness. Being open about your feelings, transparent about how you feel, is a sign of weakness. You're called like a sissy or whatever. You're like picked on because you express your feelings. So once someone did that once to somebody, that I probably wouldn't do it again. They probably wouldn't want to mention it again. If you called a child, said, be quiet, grow up, toughen up, suck it up, I promise you that child won't speak to you again about it, because you're not giving them the proper place to be able to be transparent and vulnerable. And I've talked to a lot of people, and that's one thing they've said to me, is that when they are vulnerable, that someone's used it against them later on in life. That same person that they were vulnerable to, they used it as a tool. And that's sad. And that happens a lot. It happens a lot. I don't think people having feelings, and when they're reaching out, telling someone their feelings, that they should use that as a weapon against them.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
pretty much every male I know that actually received therapy, it was a woman that, or a lady, whatever you want to call her, that convinced the man that it was a good thing, including me. When I first heard of therapy or whatever, ah, I had therapy as a youngin, but and my mama said that I needed therapy, so she kept me in therapy. But at the same time, it's the same person that was telling me, you know, men don't do this, men don't do that, men don't do this, men don't do that. So the therapy was actually contradictory to everything she was saying. So when I was young, I would literally go into therapy and just stare at my therapist. And he'd be like, or she'll be like, your mom's paying me either way. I don't care. I ain't coming in here and saying nothing. So you can go talk about me at your dinner table. So you can talk about how deranged I might be or might not be or whatever. And my mama just got tired of wasting no money. And when I finally 2023 was when I finally checked out therapy as myself as an adult, and it was purely women that pushed me. It was not one man or whatever. All my male friends that when I came back home and they like, yeah, I'm about to go to therapy. And I'm like, oh snap, you take therapy? They like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like they was at a detrimental point where they wouldn't have done nothing like a mess, but they would have done something that would have really changed the trajectory of their life. And it was almost like it was therapy or prison, therapy or
Mm.
jail, because they was that far to snapping or whatever. And now we're getting help in our 40s, late 30s. But a lot of men can't do that because at the end of the day, we're like the only reason women were able to help me in that situation is because I had a mental snap in front of women. I would never told a woman I needed mental help though, just because of the way that my mama raised me. My friends
Mm-hmm.
as well, or whether their mamas was the same way. They just had a mental snap in front of a female that, and that instead of that female being scared, like, oh, angry man, she was like, oh, have you ever heard of therapy or whatever? And they really brought therapy to us or whatever, like if it wasn't for that. And I told them after I started therapy, I was like, yo, thank y'all for introducing that to me or whatever, because as a man, that felt really weak for me to reach out for therapy.
I've mentioned therapy to my son, and I learned a lot. Man, I learned a lot growing up with a child. Our job as parents is to protect the child while they're children, allow their inner child to become children and just children instead of healing a damaged adult. And I mentioned therapy, and he sees it as a sign of weakness too. And he's like, I don't need to talk to a shrink or somebody, da 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 da. He doesn't see it as an outlet. He doesn't see it as not being judged, just a place to be able to release that pent up feelings. And I don't know how else to tell him, because one, I can't tell him anything because I'm in a different position. I'm the mother for one. So it has to be somebody else that loves him beyond his mother for him to be able to receive it properly. And two, half of his therapy probably could have been, I guarantee you, will be because of something I done as a child with him, growing up with him. And our parents don't see that. Our parents don't see them trying to figure it out with us. And when they're young too, it really damages us. it really mentally takes a toll on us and our mental of how they parented us because they were figuring it out. And I see the cycle repeating it all the time of how he is to his children that is beyond how I was to him, just because he doesn't have nobody to talk to and no outlet. But I can't be the one to tell him. You get that, SGF Graham?
Most definitely. My mama couldn't help me because you was part of the reason of these thoughts that I have or whatever.
Yes.
Now at the same time, I love you to life. So you know, I understood you was doing your best. You know, your mama had me, my mama had me at the age of 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I understood you only did your best or whatever, but I'm still conflicted with, regardless if it was your best or not, doesn't mean that I'm still where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So, but what I had to do was I had to relinquish anybody being at fault because, and this is what I would tell your son because you're grown now. Whatever, the same thing that my mama told me, I would tell him that, and I would let him know it is up to you now to correct what I did, what you feel I did wrong, and make sure that my grandkids don't continue this.
Yeah.
He has sons, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so son, as a mom, all I could do was try to show you where I felt like you needed to be. Now, as a man, you should know exactly how your son can operate because you know the faults that you have. So do me a favor, don't make the same mistakes I made with your kids. You're actually a man yourself, so m- model that man on what you think a man should be, not what you think that I created. Because at the end of the day, if you feel like I'm at fault for a lot of the issues you have, then let's not repeat them faults. Because now you're at fault for whatever your child go through. Well,
Yeah.
it's just you can, and once he understand that now he's on a journey. Okay, all these generational curses won't be broke through me. But if I keep this up and shape my son into what I felt like it should be, then that's one curse I've killed. Then my son can kill the next one. And my grandson is going to kill the next one. Great grandson, great great grandson. And eventually, ideally, we eventually get it right.
I did have a talk with him and tell him, I said, I can't tell you what you should and shouldn't do because all these lessons you have to learn on your own. All I'm going to say to you is, though, do better than I did so that you can do better for your kids. Where I lacked, don't you lack. Where you feel that I went wrong raising you, then you do opposite. And do that different for your kids. Yet at this present moment, though, that's not sinking in properly. That's not sinking in properly because of he hasn't been able to heal properly for himself. He's gotta do that on his own. And I tried telling him, but at the end of the day, it's not about him. So it's about taking responsibility for yourself, though, because you can point the finger at everybody and say, this is why I am the way I am because of this person. That's not going to do anything. That's just reflection. That's just trying to evade the real truth, which is self. You can't blame somebody else for the decisions that you make. I don't care how much they hurt you or how much they're causing you to be triggered. Go ahead, SGF Graham.
So then it actually does go back to being about him. It's about him. Step one is him. Whatever he I'm not gonna say what he how he feels about himself. But when I was in that state of mind before I raised myself up, I didn't love myself.
Mhm.
I did not love myself. I had to deal with self. And then once I dealt with self, then all of a sudden I had stipulations came because I'm not finna let nobody mistreat me more than I'm mistreating me. And in fact, because I love myself so much, I'm going to treat people the way that I want to be treated. So I can only have people that feels this way about me and people that I feel that way about them. So it took loving me first because honestly, I would tell you that before I was loving me, you would find me anywhere and I would be okay and comfortable because I didn't give like I was cool with whoever was cool with me, regardless if I didn't like what was going on or whatever, and that was how I moved or whatever, because I was hood. I grew up in the hood or whatever. I was never scared of it. So whenever I would go to other towns, I always felt comfortable in the negative environment. So wherever I moved, even if I moved into a bougie neighborhood, I hung out in the hood. Like that was one thing everybody always found weird about me. Like, boy, you would go to a strange town and go to that hood like it's your hood. Yeah, I feel comfortable in that negativity because I know I can be just as negative as them. But once I started loving myself, I started like, why am I around this? Like, no offense, I love y'all, I think, or whatever, but this is really negative to me or whatever. This isn't working with me or whatever,
Mhm.
but it started with self.
Yeah. Yeah, I told him that too. I did tell him that the last time I spoke to him. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but the last time I spoke to him, I told him, I said, you got to start loving yourself more. If you loved yourself more, then your boundaries would change. Your expectations of others would raise, and you would start acting differently naturally. But you got to start loving yourself first and stop expecting somebody else to love you more than you love you, because it's not going to work. They're just going to match your energy of what you do to yourself.
I, I would challenge him to find 5 self expectations of his own self, what he expects himself to, how he expects himself to operate, what he expects himself to say and mean and do, and then turn around and at least write one thing per expectation that he feels like he needs to change. Like this ain't no you telling him what he needs to change, me or nobody. This ain't he don't have to share this with nobody. This is for him and him only. Or whatever. What are the expectations out of yourself? Out of that, damn what anybody else expect out of you. What do you expect out of yourself? What do you want for yourself? All right, now that you know that, what things about yourself do you feel like you need to alter and change in order for them expectations of your own self to be reached?
Yeah, I will the next time I speak to him. So, Kendall, what does healing emotions, or what does emotional healing look like where you live?
Right now, I'm going to say it's very cold, but that's just winter. Um,
Mhm.
that was a cliche joke. That was horrible. Anyways, emotional healing. It's finding peace within yourself and just try to be more resilient with yourself. Even though it's like the cliche thing I can say is true. Avoidance and just do the best you can to not have those type of conflicts with people that won't suit your needs anymore. There's no point of holding grudges. I don't see it. I really don't.
So,
I'm still learning.
so if you can talk to one of the victims of the stuff that's been going on in Canada, I mean, in your own hometown, if you could talk to some of the victims, what would you tell them that healing looked like?
You don't always have to keep it together. You don't have to show perfection. You don't have to be angry all the time. It's okay to talk about your emotions and not be so hidden within yourself from society. You're allowed to be you. If you need to talk, then talk.
Mm. SGF Graham, what does emotional healing look like where you live?
Emotional healing, what it looks like. Um, Emotional healing, huh? Relaxing. Um, that I don't know what the feeling would be, but the words that I can say is "about damn time."
Mm.
I don't know what feeling that would be. Relief, I guess, but um, most of the, maybe that first part, the first bit of healing you go through might be a little scary because you're actually facing yourself, where you're facing what needs to be healed. You taking accountability, but for me, once I reached that healing, taking accountability became an addiction because that was all I wanted to do was heal. Well, but that was me. Whatever Now in my community, I don't see no healing. I see dealing and acceptance. That's why I kind of hesitated because I don't see too much of it. I see acceptance. It is what it is. And I see a lot. Like I tell people that as much as I love my town, I feel like that I got to get up and go or whatever because it's a lot of acceptance. And when I talk like I talk around the community I grew up, they just look at me like, well, shut up with that imaginary stuff. It is what it is. Whatever, like I realize that I'm talking to brick walls or whatever. So, but what it looks for me is exhilarating and relaxing and about damn time.
So I was speaking to someone today about the emotions and whatnot, mental emotions. Me personally, I have such peace within myself. No matter what someone's dealing with around me, I have such inner peace within myself, and I see positive in every situation, even when they're chaotic. And I don't mean chaotic as in an action, I mean chaotic within their thoughts. I still have such mental peace. I'm so calm right now in my way of thinking in life, and nothing really affects me because I know I can only control self, and everything else out of it is out of my control, and what's meant for me shall be for me. I'm not rushed. I'm not forced. I don't feel impatient. I don't feel anxiety. I don't feel stressed. I don't care. I might show a couple seconds of it when something happens that I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'm a little nervous. But then I stop myself, and the more I think about it, that's silly. That's silly to feel that way, because at the end of the day, we have to have control of our emotions at all times, and we can't allow somebody else's emotions to become ours. That's where we have to separate and realize that this is a controlled environment that you are. You are a controlled environment to yourself, and everything that is in here, you did yourself. You're allowed to think it, and you're allowed to remove it. You're allowed to receive it, you're allowed to remove it, because you control it. No one can force you to think something. No one can force you to react to something. If you give them that power, then they'll try. But at the end of the day, to know that your mind is just a tool, I step away. I am so such a safe place right now that I'm manifesting and receiving and aligning myself with the energy of having that. I don't see anything else but that. Absolutely nothing. And when somebody's chaotic or somebody feels anxious and whatnot, all I can do is tell them is stop thinking so much. Stop thinking. This world right now, you're thinking too much. People in this world are thinking way too much. And I don't mean manifesting. I don't mean positive affirmations. I mean dwelling. I mean, worry. I mean, fear. They have all these survival thoughts in their mind right now that they can control. You can stop it. I don't care if you're in prison. That mental prison is way worse than any bars that you could be behind, that someone put you there because you allowed yourself to be there. So for me, emotional healing, it's peace, it's stillness. And for where I live, I don't see anybody else's emotional healing. I can't worry about that. So I don't really go outside much. And like I said, my algorithm really doesn't show me a lot of violence and anger and hatred. It doesn't. My algorithm shows me positive things, growing things, healing things, releasing things. I don't really have a lot of violence at all. I don't see fighting, hatred. Every now and then someone might share something with me and I won't look at it, promise you. So I listen to a lot of classical music lately and I hum a lot. So for me, my healing looks like peace. Kendall, let's do positive quotes so we can wrap this up. So what's your positive thing that you want to tell somebody?
Be kind to yourself. Also, tomorrow's International Kindness Day, so maybe offer them a cup of coffee, a hangout, a kind gesture, show some sort of support that you care, and just be yourself.
SGF Graham, positive message.
I guess I would have like two different quick things to say. The first one would be obviously to love yourself. The second one would be I would like for people to think and to act on this. What have you done for yourself lately? Like, take care of yourself or whatever, Yeah, go out to eat by yourself, go out on a walk, go on a vacation. You don't need no, like, learn to be okay with yourself. That is that was the greatest. Now, yeah, I took it overboard. Now that I done learned how to be okay with myself, I'll be like, dang, I need to get out. So it done got me to a point to where I stay by myself for days on end. Whatever, because I've learned how to be okay with myself, okay with my thoughts, none of that or whatever. And it's the most exhilarating thing that has happened for me. And I can go out into the world and love the world, and what they say about me, what anybody has to say about anything I have to say, it does not bother me because I learned to be okay with myself. So that just means that you're not of me, and there's no need for us to continue this conversation. So love yourself because you're worth it. Whoever is listening, one person or a million people, love yourself because you're definitely worth it. But you have to believe that first.
My positive message is find something and make it your goal, whatever it may be. Find something and make it your goal. My goal is to free myself from myself. Find that dharma. That's my goal, because I'm not repeating cycles and generational curses and all that anymore. I learned what I had to learn. I'm no longer learning. Now I'm just growing. So find a goal, even if it's something small. Things happen with a mustard seed. Find that and allow it and plant it and allow it to become you, and live so much in that you absorb it. And I'm telling you, it's going to change. I always tell people, you cannot change your life, but you can change how you see your life and watch your life change. So as we close, remember, a moment of anger can cost years of freedom. A moment of patience can save a life. We all feel emotions. The difference is how we respond to them. To every family grieving, anywhere and everywhere tonight, we send peace and love. This has been the People's Podcast, where the ears that will listen and where your opinion matters. Peace filled with love. Don't just be different, become the difference. Thank you for taking time out of your day to heal with us. Peace until next time. Ashe, everyone.
Peace, peace. Oh, and one more thing. If you
Yeah.
on YouTube tomorrow, my video for Burn comes out tomorrow. I probably would drop it at midnight. I don't know, but it's coming out tomorrow. Go on and subscribe. It's only going to be on YouTube. I will promote it on social media, other social medias, but it'll only be available to be seen on YouTube.
Put your YouTube channel in the chat.
Oh, okay. Most
All right.
definitely.
Peace and love, everyone. Love yourself first, because no one else can love you unless you do. Peace, peace.
Let's get to the bottom of this one. Unspoken truths that I miss one. Tap into the minds of the people. Rather acknowledge before I dismiss one. Atheists, Muslim, Christians, Buddhists, they all got usage. All got perspective. It's a collective. Get to the bottom where the truth is. Where the heart's uncovered. Where you detox from all of the lies you smothered. Where them tries could have killed you. But with faith you recover. Yup. Peel off the makeup, we finna take off. Never said it'd be a cakewalk. Meditate till we charged up. Execute goes regardless. Decalcify my pineal. Breaking language barriers, we saw millennials. Planets passing age rotations, down me we owe. So down me we know. Sometimes we can be slow, that's why my ears open. Every drop you add could complete the ocean. Speak up, play your part too. Been vulnerable, it's so